Yes, this is she.
Hi, Hallie. Good morning. You are live at the Chicago Park District Board meeting. You may present your comments to the board now.
Thank you. What does children first mean when kids are dying preventable deaths to known hazards in our public parks and we do nothing? Eddie Horn, Ivan Echevarria, Tiana Hollenside, Darian Torres, Amaya Walker, Patrick Tedeschi, children first. Drowning is the #1 reason a healthy child will die before kindergarten. Amaya was loved. Drowning is the second most likely reason a healthy kindergartner will die before their sophomore year in high school. Tiana, Darian, and Patrick were loved. 4 in 10 children who fatally drown in open water live in large urban centers. Ivan was loved. Black boys aged 15 to 17 are drowning at the highest rates. Eddie was loved. Can we be forward-thinking, world-class park system and not provide the same equipment available on Wilmette beaches and Indiana beaches, on state parks in Illinois and Michigan beaches? As to liability, we know there's liability and risk involved in the status quo. We know that parks will not be found willful and wanton if a life ring is missing when needed and they performed the weekly checks recommended by the manufacturer. We have shared the best practices from local, national, and global leaders in drowning prevention. This is not a controversial topic in the water safety world, and it's also not politically controversial. We now have a couple dozen state reps, senators, commissioners, and aldermen sending in written support, and more pending, and some even pledging money to help. We also shared the cost of drowning. Life rings are fiscally responsible. In a week, we got 2,500 signatures from the general public, and their comments echo the sentiments circulating in neighborhood groups. How are these not already on our beaches? Look, I don't want this to be my thing. I want the past 3 years of my life back. I want Darian's life back. But after witnessing her drowning and the news stories of many others like it, I cannot look away. So my ask today is that you don't look away either. Please allow us to help parks on this so that we can get our lives back and prevent someone else from losing theirs forever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hallie. We will release you from the call and you can rejoin the meeting from the link provided.
Thank you.
We will get Sherry on the line. Please note Sherry has provided supporting document, which you can find in your board packet. It's ringing.
Hello.
Hi, is this Sherry?
It is.
Hi, Sherry. Good morning. You are live at the Chicago Park District Board meeting. You may present your comments to the board now.
Thank you so much. My name is Sherry Travis. I'm an attorney, and I want to talk about liability and to refute the Park District statement regarding the flotation devices, that the liability of providing this equipment is not in the best interest of the district or the millions of patrons that visit our beaches each year. That's absurd. You can't avoid liability by doing nothing. This issue is personal to me because I witnessed a drowning years ago when I was jogging along the lakefront and saw a woman struggling along Oak Street Beach. She wasn't the one that died that night. It was the person who tried to rescue her that wound up drowning. Had there been ring buoys nearby, everyone would have survived. I gave all of you and Superintendent Kelly the case of Torres v. Peoria Park District, and the court applied this Tort Immunity Act, which says a local public entity has a duty to exercise ordinary care to maintain its property in a reasonably safe condition for the use and the exercise of ordinary care of people whom the entity intended and permitted to use the property. So what's ordinary care? I would argue that that's providing flotation devices, just like the Chicago Department of Transportation provides along the Chicago River and has for many years, which retail for less than $100. The Torres case said, quote, Illinois courts define willful and wanton conduct in part as a failure to take reasonable precautions after knowledge of impending danger. And, quote, courts employing the Tort Immunity Act's definition have found willful and wanton conduct to exist where a public entity knew of a dangerous condition, yet took no action to correct the condition. I want to leave you with this. You know people drown every year along the lake. And the standard of care and the solution is to install and maintain emergency flotation devices.
We lost her.
Sherry, you might be muted.
She had about
Sherry, you
15
there?
seconds left. Yeah.
She's definitely mutes on her phone.
All right, we'll go on.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. You can rejoin the meeting through the link provided. We will get our next speaker on the line, Jessica Leon.
Hello?
Hi, is this Jessica?
Yes, this is me.
Good morning, Jessica. You are live at the Chicago Park District Board meeting. You can present your comments to the board now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Leon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before the board today. As you know, I made the record show that my mission since my father's death in 2018 has always and continues to be to advocate for water rescue station placement on all Chicago beaches and along the 26-mile shoreline in its entirety with the U.S. Coast Guard approved life rings and ropes as a reliable and proven method to save lives. And I have been committed to work with this department to see this initiative materialize. I advocated this initiative not for my personal gain, but for the benefit of all Chicago. And with every delay, we are risking another life. As a bereaved daughter and a registered nurse, I advocate for life, and I strive to do so every day. On May 4th of this year, Miami-Dade County passed a legislative item in favor of placing water rescue stations in county-owned facilities after I presented this very same initiative to the Board of Commissioners. It took less than a year for this legislative item to be drafted and approved. I'll be glad to meet with Chicago board members to discuss their concerns and work on a plan to mitigate those risks. The lakeshore is easily accessible to the public, even in areas that are not designated swim spots, such as walkways that large waves regularly wash over with no safety measures in place. There are different solutions for this problem, but water rescue stations are the most effective at saving lives, are aesthetically pleasing versus a wall or a fence, and save taxpayers approximately $700,000 in Medicaid costs for drowning, injury, hospitalizations in 2020 alone. Chicago is the third largest populated metropolitan city in the United States, and taxes make up 67% of Chicago Park District revenues. And being taxed at 10.25%, Chicago taxpayers contribute to alderman budgets and menu money that is intended to be used to protect each ward's residents. While capital improvement active projects total approximately $56 million, it was estimated that 104 rescue stations would be $103,000.
Please make your closing remarks.
The resources are available and the safety parameters are approved by the U.S. Coast Guard. I am asking that Parks District please place this initiative on the agenda and vote yes on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. We will release you from the call and you can rejoin the meeting from the link provided. We're going to get Sherry back on the line. She had just a few more seconds left.
About 20 seconds.
Yes. And it's ringing. Still ringing. Hi, is this Sherry?
Yes.
Hi, sorry we lost you. You have about 20 seconds left. You can continue your comments.
Tell me
Go
when.
ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate you giving me a few more seconds. This issue is very important to all of us, and I want to leave you with this. You know people drown along the lake each year. You know the standard of care, and the solution is to install and maintain emergency flotation devices. And going forward, you can't assert that you didn't know. You'll have to defend your failure to provide this simple safety precaution for the residents and the visitors to the city of Chicago. And if you're not willing to do the right thing merely because it's the right thing to do, then do the right thing because it's your legal obligation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. We'll release you from the call and you can rejoin the meeting from the link provided.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Our next speakers are Abdullah Hassan Pratt, Fernando Mong, Ana Lopez Alcantar, and Caitlin Savato. Although I did just hear from Caitlin that she is unable to speak at today's board meeting. So we'll get our next speaker on the line.
Okay.
It's ringing.
Abdullah.
Hello, is this Abdullah?
Hello. This is he.
Hi, you are live with the Chicago Park District Board meeting. You may present your comments to the board now.
Thank you. It's an honor to come before the board. It's good to see familiar faces on the board. My name is Abdullah Hassan Pratt. I'm an assistant professor of emergency medicine and an ER doctor at the University of Chicago in the emergency department. More importantly, I grew up on Chicago's South Side. I've never left. I'm a product of Chicago Park District, so I would not be a physician had it not been for that, but also learned how to swim and play all my sports in Chicago Park District. Unfortunately, I've also witnessed too many drownings, not even as a physician. I've lost 3 close friends to drownings, one being very recent that came into our emergency department just this past summer, and I've had to break that news to their families that their loved one didn't make it. I think that trying to make our lakefront safer is extremely important, especially because in our underserved communities that have disproportionately Black and brown community members, the lakefront is the cheapest option for them to get away from the hot summers of their unair conditioned units. It's the cheapest way to get away from some of the violence in their communities. And for that fact alone, it's also, these are the areas that have the least amount of swimming classes that are available to them. So this is a very high risk population. And if we are saying that we care about Black lives and brown lives across this city, I think that a simple thing could be done is that. And I'm not just speaking that from a place of just shoulda, woulda, coulda. As those of you all on the board who know me know that I lead first. I teach a lot of these type of emergency preparedness courses in the community, and I will vow my own resources as well as the University of Chicago and our residents and trainees to try to be able to help teach courses on how to use these flotation devices, how to save drowning victims. We are not trying to lead from the back and just putting it all on the Chicago Park District. I truly love the Chicago Park District. It was a cheap option for my family. I went to all the camps every single summer, and that kept me out of violence, and I hope that it can keep other children safe on the lakefront this summer. Thank you so much, you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah. We will release you from the call, and you can rejoin the meeting from the link provided. And we'll get our next speaker on the line.
Hello.
Hi, is this Fernando?
No, this is Anna.
Oh, hi, Anna. You are
Hi.
live with the Chicago Park District Board meeting, and you can present your comments to the board now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Ana Lopez Alcantar. I am a youth activist, and I'm the 40th Ward Deputy Committee person. Did you know that drowning is the second leading cause of accidental death for teens? I'm here to ask you to start adding lifelines to our Chicago beaches. We as youth shouldn't have to worry about whether we are going to make it back home when we go to the beach. I know that one of your core values is children first, but I want to know what that means to you. We are letting our young people die because of an issue that is preventable. We especially need to add life rings because of the youth population. It is extremely easy to get in the water, but without life rings, it is more likely for young people to drown. It costs less to put life rings on our beaches than to help a drowning child. I have worked in one of your parks and have never been talked to about how to survive a drowning or what the dangers of a lake are. We need to start teaching our kids in the park district how to help themselves if they are drowning, especially since I know that during the summer, we take field trips to big bodies of water in Chicago. When me or a friend are struggling in the water, I don't want to look for a life ring to find nothing. I want to be protected. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for giving me the time to talk.
Thank you, Anna. We will release you from the call, and you can rejoin the meeting from the link provided. We'll get our final speaker for this topic on the phone. It's ringing.
Yes, hello.
Hi, is this Fernando?
Yes, it is.
Hi, good morning. You are live at the Chicago Park District Board meeting. You may present your comments to the board now.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my name is Fernando. Angie, and I live in Edgewater. And I grew up here in Chicago. And about 10 years ago, or actually about 20 years ago, there was a friend of mine that I had seen around Friday. And when I went back to where I was meeting with people, they actually told me that she had passed away. She had drowned. So since then, this was very hard for me to take. And I just thought that it just didn't make no sense. And so I tried to question why that happened. And then I learned that there was so many people, there was a lot of people drowning every year. And I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't really understand that. And even recently, I just talked to my mom yesterday, and she was telling me that when we went out as a kid, a girl just went to the lake on the side, and all of a sudden she just reached over and she fell into the water. So I was really, I just think that that's incredible that even when they noticed, they just dove in. The fire, what do you call it? The firemen, they dove into the water and they took her body out and they presented it to the family. So I just think that it's just terrible. All through history, it's been happening, and any measure that can curb that, I think, is just has to be done. I'm just surprised that it hasn't happened before, and that's what I have to say. Obviously, I don't have a prepared speech, but I just think that. And another thing happened with the janitor here.
Please make your closing remarks.
Okay, a janitor that I live, his son died about 2 years ago at the lake, and he took time off, and you just see that he was devastated. Devastated. So that's how it leaves a person. So I'm just saying that it's way overdue. It's necessary, and that's all I have to say, basically.
Thank you, Fernando. We will release you from the call, and you can rejoin the meeting from the link provided.
Thank you. Sarah, is that our last speaker on this topic?
Yes, it is.
All right. Let me say to you all that the board has talked about this, and the board has explored a lot of the options here. And we come to the same thing. It's really not, our argument is not about liability. What it really is about making sure that people are observing the rules which are put in place to save their lives. We have areas of Lake Michigan that are unsafe to swim in. And we have areas of Lake Michigan that are manned with lifeguards at certain hours. And in the hours that they are not manned, they are unsafe to swim in. We note these areas with signage. And I'd like to show you this signage. There are signs that give you clear indications of where you should not swim, where you should not dive because it's dangerous. Sarah, please show those.
Yes, we have it up on the screen. We'll go to the next slide.
You can see that there are indications, and there are signage along the beach that gives you an indication of what you should look for from our flag warning system when the beach is open and safe and it's guarded. The water is calm and safe. There's green flags. Caution is advised with yellow flags. Red flags mean severe weather or water conditions that may be hazardous. We have a long shoreline, and it is not possible for the shoreline to be protected every single inch of the way. So we indicate with signage where you should not swim, where you should not dive. And bear in mind, it is dangerous. These are not signs that are put up just for signs' sake. They're signs that are put up because we cannot secure you, we cannot protect you, and you cannot protect yourself. Life preserver rings cannot defend against wave action that's strong enough to destroy seawalls. And you have currents in these areas along the shoreline that are difficult, if not impossible, to protect against. And people end up drowning because they are swimming where they shouldn't be, and they are overestimating their ability to swim in these kinds of conditions. What we want is for people to save their lives and save the lives of their loved ones by observing the rules to not swim where they're not supposed to swim. And at times they're not supposed to swim, which is times that the we are not able to put the life preserver rings along the shoreline and assure that lives will be saved by this. And nor is it the right thing to do, because it says if we put these rings where we tell people not to swim, that's winking at us telling people not to swim there. That's saying, don't swim, it's dangerous, but here's a tool to help you swim when you get in there and you shouldn't be there. We can't be in a position to do that. We want people to observe the rules, save their own lives, because it's dangerous to swim in these places where you're being told not to swim. Now, I do hear the call for more instruction about how to save your life when you're drowning. And I think that's something that the Park District can do. More instruction about how to swim. That's something that the Park District can do. But putting life preserver rings along these areas where we're urging people, please save your own life by observing the rules and not swimming, that's not a strategy that we want to deploy. Telling us about what's being done in other places really isn't relevant, because every body of water is different. The way the currents and the water agitates along the shores of Lake Michigan is very different than in other bodies of water along other shorelines. So it's not apples to apples comparison. Everybody is concerned about the safety of the people who swim in Lake Michigan. And that is why we encourage you to swim in the areas that are known to be safe to swim, at times that it is known for you to be safe, which is when the lifeguard areas are manned, not in any of the hours or any of the locations where you're not supposed to be. Okay, can we have our next speakers?
I have a comment and a question on that too. I mean, I don't disagree. I think it's important that we make sure that people are following the rules and aren't swimming when they're not supposed to be swimming, and all those things are again very important. I do think though that and again, I'm not an expert in this, so this is very new to this issue, and I'm just now getting up to speed on some of these things, and I'm not saying this is the direction we should move in, but I do think that it's worth continuing to explore whether or not rings are a viable option in certain parts of along the lake, around the Park District, in areas that the Park District manages. And because again, there are, while I agree that there are signs and people should follow the rules, there's tons of other places where we know that we have safety equipment. Just thinking off the top of my head, you think of barrels on the highway. We know that people shouldn't be driving into guardrails or should not be going into areas of the highway that they shouldn't be in, or that they shouldn't be going above the speed limit, but it happens. And there are safety precautions that are taken to try to prevent, fatal injuries. And while this is different, and every body of water, I agree, is very different, and I in no way think we should do anything that's going to encourage anyone to swim in areas that they shouldn't be swimming in. I think it's important for us to at least explore whether or not this would continue to this is a safety measure we should take in place. And I'd be happy to participate in any conversations about the safety with other folks in the Park District. But I don't want this issue to go away, because at the very least, until I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel and whether or not they're up to speed on it, but I know I'm not. And until I'm fully understand the issue, I'd like us to continue to keep talking about it and exploring whether or not it's a good option for us. And at the very least, and possibly, I know at one point there was a recommendation for a pilot, and not sure where that landed, and folks may not be, whether or not they were in agreement for that with that, but I think we should consider looking at that as well.
Hey, Jose. Mm-hmm. I do happen to be up to speed on this. I've been communicating about this, and I just want to say, I understand that the intention is good, but I think this is something that we have looked into for quite a while. It has been researched, and I think I happen to be a lifeguard in my past, in my younger years. And I will tell you that part of the issue with having these types of flotation devices on our lake is that the reality of being able to actually save someone with that device without training is virtually none, because you are not close enough to the victim to be able to send out a buoyancy device and actually get them back to shore without actually entering the water. And if you are not trained on how to do that, even in the most basic way, even if we provided training, which I think would be helpful, you end up with a far greater tragic scenario. And that's just the truth, because we're on a lake. It's not a river where you can throw in and pull to the side. This body of water is something that is very treacherous in certain situations. So I know they've done a lot of work on this, and I think maybe we do some more investigating, but I think the reality of the situation is our lake is not a lake. Our lake, operates like an ocean, and we have to make sure to give people the information about how serious it is to enter the water without people there to watch you and that are skilled to save you. But I tend to agree with Avis that providing those devices, gives people a false sense of security in some situations. That's just
Thank you, Ashley. Let me say to you that most open water lake incidents occur at a distance greater than 15 to 30 feet from the shoreline. And the ability to toss out a buoy can't be at that distance. Nobody can do that. So if someone has to get in the water to try to get that flotation device out there to somebody else to rescue, you run the risk of having multiple people drown. This is not a solution that is deployable in these areas where we encourage people not to swim, where we are discouraging people from getting in the water. We are discouraging people from getting in the water in these areas because of cross currents and undercurrents that make it dangerous to swim there. And we really have the respect for life that we're urging people, don't do this. Don't put yourself at risk. And we can't wink at it and encourage people to do that by putting the preservers out at the same time that the signage says, don't get in this water at all. This discussion actually started, Commissioner Munoz, not in the period of time that you have been here. It's been going on for multiple years. And so I'm certainly willing to spend some more time talking with you about it and share with you where we are and explore other options.
Yeah, and that's all I asked for. It's just, like I said, I want to be up to speed, on this. And I did get some information, so it's not, that the Park District hasn't provided that. I just haven't had an opportunity to go through all of it. And I've talked to other folks about this as well, too. So just all I'm asking for is an opportunity to get up to speed and, before we decide, not to move forward or do anything with this issue. Just I need a better understanding.
I think one of the things that the president mentioned that I certainly heard was that we are committed to, the Park District is committed to continuing its evaluation and review of the safety measures that we have in place and how can we move forward and improve those along the shoreline and at the beaches where swimming is allowed during the time periods when swimming is allowed. And I think that that's an important point. I don't want that to get lost in the conversation around these buoyancy devices, because really this is about how are we going to move forward with ensuring the safety of all the beaches and the safety of the folks who use the beaches. And I think that President Lavelle was pretty clear in saying that the Park District continues to be committed to doing that and bolstering in any way possible the safety measures at the beaches and at the lakefront where it is, where swimming is allowed.
The whole issue of open water swimming and life safety training in open water is one that I think we can perhaps do more on. I think that perhaps we do need to maybe develop some course or curriculum that deals with open water swimming and open water safety, open water rescue, because it's different. The feeling of being in a pool and swimming in a pool is very different than swimming in open water. So the areas where we can do something about it, I think we should do something about it. And that is something that I'm willing and want to explore with the Chicago Park District. So I think some of the recommendations that were made today are very valid.